It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook. Hey, I get it. You've worked really hard to build up your business, and it's doing great. So great that you need help now. The most important thing for your business is to hire the right people to support it. So how can you find amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. And with Sponsored Jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, Sponsored Jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. And it's one of the largest databases of job seekers, too, giving business owners access to a wide range of candidates. And one of the things I love most about Indeed is the job alerts feature. I get notified when new candidates apply. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. This is the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 162. You ready for this?
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He uses fear as a sign to keep pushing forward, Pat Flynn.
Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Running a business means legal questions are inevitable. Is this contract or agreement solid? What can I do if a client won't pay me? Am I set up properly for taxes? Well, rather than trying to navigate all of this on your own or searching endlessly online, imagine having a law firm on your side without the high hourly rates. That's exactly what Legal Shield's small business plans offer. With Legal Shield, entrepreneurs get access to real legal support, contract reviews, collection letters, guidance on business formation, and even help handling IRS audits. Members can book consultations, upload documents through the app, and work with a provider law firm that understands small business laws in your state. You also get proactive help on tax and trademark questions so you can stay ahead of legal risks. And if a client delays payment, Legal Shield can send professional collection letters to help you recover what you're owed, all for a fraction of what traditional attorneys charge. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining me today. I'm so stoked to bring you this particular success story. I mean, success stories are great, and the best success stories, I feel, are the ones that come from listeners just like you. And Nick Stevenson was a listener who had heard episode 136 with David Siteman Gartland, who was talking about creating awesome online courses. So Nick heard that episode, took action, and is now crushing it. And you can kind of tell how well he's doing based on the title of this particular podcast, which is A First Timer's $130,208 product launch. So one single launch over $130,000. And Nick's going to talk about all about the things that he did, all the steps that were required to do that. And you can find his site at yourfirst10kreaders.com. He's helping authors get their first 10K readers. An incredible success story. Anyway, you'll hear the story about how he came in contact with me after listening to that episode. So let's not waste any more time. Here's Nick Stevenson. Nick Stevenson, what's up? Welcome to the SPI podcast. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me. It's a beautiful sunny morning here in the UK. The sun has just come up.
It's a beautiful 10:13 p.m. right now in San Diego, so we're on opposite sides of the world. But I really appreciate you waking up a little early to hang out with us today and talk about your incredible success story that you've had and that you actually shared with me via email. I got this email the other day that said, success story, the 130K thank you, Pat. And just tell us what that's all about.
This is all about launching my first ever online course. And this is all based on a webinar that you did with David Siteman Gartland just before Christmas 2014, I think it was.
It was a podcast episode, right?
A podcast episode, yes. And I think you did one with Amy Porterfield as well, shortly afterwards. And this was perfect timing for me because this was around the time when I was thinking, how can I build up my my online kind of revenue streams and build my audience? And I'd been thinking about doing a course for a long time, and I didn't have the blueprint in my head. I had no idea where to start. And this podcast of yours came along with David Siteman Gartland, and it kind of hit every trigger that it could possibly hit. And I just immediately went and bought his course, followed everything in there, and then about 3 months later, launched my first ever online course. The launch week was fantastic, and I made $130,000. And it literally blew my mind. It was incredible. That was the best launch I've ever done for anything ever.
That's awesome.
And it's been amazing.
That's really cool. Well, let's rewind. Well, we'll get into that and how you launched it and what you launched and all that stuff. But before you came across that podcast episode, what were you doing? You had a website already? You had some sort of following? Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm an author, so I've been building up my online following for the past 3 years or so, and I first got started writing fiction books back in 2012, and published my first book in sort of February 2012, and I think like most people launching their first ever product or online business, you kind of launch into a bit of a void. So there's no fanfare, there's no street parades or anything, and it was really just learning how to build up that audience over the years, listening to podcasts like yours and, other websites and YouTube channels, and really just trying to figure out what marketing approaches actually work for books, for authors, specifically self-published authors. And after 2 years of trial and error, sort of finally figured out that, if you can build a mailing list and build an audience up, then you can actually sell your books and sell your products to them without feeling like you're trying to, coerce anybody into buying things. It's that method of selling that doesn't make anybody feel sleazy, I think was very important to me.
Right.
And I've been doing pretty well with marketing and selling my fiction books, but I knew I wanted to take it to another level. So, I wanted to share my marketing experience with other authors as well. And then sort of late 2014, I'd start building up a little bit of a following in the author marketing space, and realized I wanted to have a sort of a flagship product that I could share with people that would help them develop their author careers as well, which is where the idea for the course came along. And then sort of like 90 days later, I'd finally got it all put together, and here we are now. So that's the quick and dirty rundown.
No, I like that. That's awesome. For really quick, because you've sort of teased us a little bit with this marketing fiction books. I know we've had a lot of people in the audience who've asked me that question specifically, and I've never done that before. Can you give us a quick, couple sentences on really, you said, okay, building an email list for getting that following. So when you do come out with books, you already have those people who follow you and are interested to sell to, and it's not sleazy at all. Can you give us a quick rundown on how somebody who writes fiction can really take their books out there?
Absolutely.
Next level?
I mean, I've been helping authors do fiction and non-fiction, so it's the same sort of approach for either genre, really. But I developed this concept called reader magnets, which is based on the old concept of lead magnets in internet marketing, where you're offering something in return for an email address. But in this case, instead of offering a 5-page PDF or a video or something, we're offering a book or a bonus chapter or some behind the scenes or, something that's related to your book. And then we use free promotions on Amazon and the other ebook stores to generate lots of traffic. Nice. So I think what a lot of authors are kind of missing is that marketing expertise. So, they've been writing books for years, potentially, and submitting to publishers and agents and maybe not getting anywhere. And authors are very good at writing books. That's what they do. Mm-hmm. They can turn out a novel in a couple of months or a nonfiction book in a couple of months, but all they really know how to do is write books. And what's missing, I think, is figuring out how to build that audience up. So I show them how to offer something that their readers are going to really want, and then how to get them onto a mailing list and how to develop a relationship with them so that later on down the line, you can actually sell books and you can launch your books, and you're no longer launching into a void, and you're not relying on Amazon or iTunes or Kobo to do all the work for you, but you have control over your own platform. And that's exactly what I teach people how to do in my course. Nice.
Lovely. Okay, now let's get back to this course that you launched for people with their author platforms. You had this audience that you built authority in sharing how to do this, but then kind of what was missing? What was it about David's course or what you learned in there that made it really click for you? What was missing?
It was my experience with dealing with how to market my own books and knowing that I had to spend 2 years and thousands of dollars experimenting with different approaches and strategies. And I knew that if I spent the same amount of time and the same amount of money coming up with a course idea and developing a course and launching a course, I could probably do a good job, but I didn't want to wait 2 years and I didn't want to spend thousands and thousands of dollars trying to figure out what worked. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to take a blueprint from somebody who'd already done it and just follow their step-by-step guide. So it made perfect sense to me because I'd been through that whole trial and error with my own business. And I knew that it was not something I wanted to do again. So when David came along and said, hey, here's a course that will show you exactly how to launch a course, it was a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, David's a really good teacher at that stuff. I just did a couple webinars with him and a ton of people came on and bought his course and are doing really well already, actually. And after that episode, for those of you listening, it's episode 136 of the Smart Passive Income podcast. And that is followed by Amy Porterfield, who talks about how to market your course in episode 137. So that's kind of a good 1-2 punch, 136 and then 137. But a lot of people loved David's podcast because he just goes step by step on really how to do it. So tell us step by step what you did after you got that course. Like what was your first sort of task to get this? You said it took 90 days. Like start from the beginning. What did you do first?
So I decided on a topic. I think it was the very first thing that I did, which kind of makes sense when you think about it, because I had loads of ideas as to what I wanted to do to try and help authors, develop their business. And, eventually I settled on, how to build an audience. So my course is called Your First 10,000 Readers, and it's all about how to build up a platform and build up your reader base so that you can actually sell books to people instead of kind of throwing it out there and hoping for the best. So I toyed with a few different ideas about how to create books and how to use keywords and how to do advertising. But I knew that the crux of any online business is your audience, your email list and your social media following. So I knew if I taught authors how to do that, then everything else comes naturally. So going through David's course kind of helped me narrow down my focus and come up with a concept that was going to appeal to people. And then after that, it was kind of a split between creating the content and then dealing with the technology. because I think technology is always a big stumbling block for people,
Right?
especially if you're quite new to this. Is like, you've got all this email list software and websites and membership plugins and everything, and it can be so overwhelming. And this is another great reason to actually get a course or get coaching from someone who knows what they're doing, because that overwhelm just goes away because you just know that someone's done a step-by-step guide for you. So I went through the course step by step, created the content, did all the back end stuff, and then followed David's kind of step-by-step, here's how you launch it. And it's just a plug and play system, really. So I have to send out most of the kudos to David, really, for making those steps available.
Well, I mean, it's kudos to you for actually taking action, for one, investing in yourself in that course so that you can then put into action. And I know a lot of people who purchase courses who don't put the action into place. And so it's really nice to see somebody actually follow through. I mean, there's a lot of great courses out there that you could get, I mean, on anywhere, lynda.com even, where you can read or listen or watch that content, and you have to put it into action, of course, for it to make it work
absolutely.
for you. That's the big thing. Okay, so going back to the title, so you found out what you wanted to do. What made you decide on your first 10K readers? I'm curious about that 10K. Did you think maybe 1K or 500 or 5K? Like what, or did you just stick with 10K because it sounded the best?
Well, I took a look at how many readers I'd built up in my first sort of 6 months doing these strategies, and it was close to 15,000 that I'd managed to build up onto my author platform. Mm-hmm. So I knew that it is definitely possible to get to that point. But then your first 15K readers didn't sound quite right.
Right.
So 10K just sounds like a great number, and it's definitely achievable if you kind of follow the steps that I show people. So I thought, your first 10,000 readers, it's a great number. It's kind of a tipping point, I think, for a lot of people when they're building an email list. Is, you can build up a few hundred, you can build up a couple of thousand, but getting to that sort of 10,000 people mark is a really big achievement. And, if I can help people get there, it's going to be amazing. So that was the only thinking behind it, really. There was no kind of massive formula or anything like that, but it sounds good. It's achievable. And those are the main things, I think.
Nice. I just asked that because Ramit Sethi, who's been on the show before, you might remember him. He talked about his course called Earn 1K on the side, actually. And that was very precise, and a lot of research went into that name. 1K. Why 1K, not 10K? Because 1K seemed more doable, more achievable. For 10K, for his people who are trying to make money on the side, 10K just seemed a little bit too far out of reach. And that's why 1K is very important. But I think 10K for readers, building an email list, that's perfectly doable. And I think that was a great number to choose. Now, when you say you created the course after that, what is the course like that you created? How is it formatted? And also talk about that technology. Like, what technology are you using? So is it video? Is it PDFs, worksheets, or a mixture of all of the above? And then what technology are you using?
Oh, it's a big mix. So it's predominantly video. So in when you log into the course, you get the different modules are all laid out for you. And each module might have 4 or 5 different videos covering different topics. Each video is maybe between 10 and 20 minutes long. Okay. So there's a lot of content in there. And they all have, you can download them in video or audio as well. It's predominantly video. And the technology part, that was the toughest bit, actually. And I have to admit to paying a web developer to do it all for me.
That's okay.
But you can do it yourself if you really want to. But I knew that if I tried it myself, again, trial and error, it was going to take me forever. So I paid someone who knew what they were doing to actually get this course out there. But it's a few of them are like videos of me talking to the camera, but it's mostly sort of a screencast. So I'll have a PowerPoint or keynote slides up on the screen, and I'll be recording that and recording audio over the top. So it's kind of like going into a webinar, really.
Yeah.
A lot of the time, that's the kind of format you go for, because the visual side of things. If I did it just audio, I think people tune out a little bit if you've got 12 hours worth of audio. But with video, you can keep things interesting. You can show people different aspects of what you're trying to explain, and it's a really good medium, I think. But it took a long time, a lot of work to put that content together. I really underestimated just how much work was involved.
How long did you think it was going to take, and then how long did it actually take you?
I remember developing the kind of the website so that I could upload the videos as soon as they were ready. Mm-hmm. And I thought, it can't possibly take more than a week to record all this. And I was so wrong. I mean, it took something like 12 weeks
Oh
to
my
record
gosh.
all the content. And because at the time we just had a baby, we were moving house. This was kind of over Christmas and New Year's as well. There was lots of stuff going on. And just finding the time to sit down at your desk in the quiet with, a microphone and reading out these slides, but also sounding really engaged as well. Because you can't sit there and go, okay, step number 1 is to do this. And you have to, exactly. You've got to really jump in and be really excited and really engaged, and to kind of force yourself to get into that mindset to read out slides that you've already written and tweaked like 50 times is really tough. And then you've got to edit it as well and compress it and upload it.
Yeah.
So, for every hour of video, it was maybe took 3-4 hours to actually produce.
Did it seem to get faster for you the more you did it though?
It did.
Okay.
And at the beginning, I think I was doing I would read through a session with the slides and I'd make so many mistakes. I'd just keep on going and I'd edit them out later. So you can imagine how long that took to go through in the editing program and cut out all the nonsense. But by the end of it, I could do a session in one take. And that was very exciting because I could, no fluffing up or anything. But it still took ages. And, I really underestimated just how much work was involved in that. But I mean, it's entirely achievable. But it's tough, absolutely tough. I mean, this doing all the podcasts.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, where did you find the time? Because I know that's a big hurdle for a lot of the people and sometimes an excuse. But I mean, a lot of people don't have the time. And you were in the middle of a move, you had a baby. Was it a set schedule every day or every week that you did this, or kind of just whenever you could have a little bit of quiet time? And
it was literally whenever I could grab like an hour or 2 hours here or there, because there was so much chaos going on. But I knew that if I followed through with this and actually took action, that it was going to be a massive deal and it was going to make a big difference. So it was a huge priority for me. So I knew it had to happen. So, the kids would go down for a nap and I'd go and record something, or, it'd be 9-10 o'clock at night and I'd, record something, or I'd get up early in the morning to do something. Just whenever you can find time, because I think, if something's going to work for you and you, like you said, you've invested in yourself by buying these courses, you owe it to yourself to actually take action. And this is the main difference with, when you take a free course or a free ebook or something, that compulsion to take action isn't as strong. But when you have to, invest, and this was a considerable amount of money to invest in a course, you kind of force yourself to take action, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah, David talks about that a lot, and why it's good to charge higher prices, and it will get a lot of people to take that action that's required to do what they need to do to get those results. Now, you said you knew it was going to work. Did you know it was going to work?
I did. Well, I believed. I had faith.
You believed it was going to work. Okay, and that's important.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember when I first started publishing books, fiction and nonfiction books on Kindle, and when I made my first sale and my first 100 sales, and when I made my first $1,000 in a month, I believed back then that was going to work. And I had the exact same feeling with this course. Like, I believed that it was going to work. All the signs were looking good. So I knew that if I could just follow through, take action and see it through to the end, that it was going to make a big difference for me and my family. So it was a massive priority for me.
That's really cool. I love that. It's hard because you put in all that work. You said you were working so long, 12 weeks on this. I mean, by week 6, by week 8, I mean, you don't see any money coming out of it at that point because it's not launched yet. You talked about what kept you going, but do you have any sort of words of wisdom for people out there who are in week 8 of the creation of their course, for example, and are just like, man, I don't know if this is going to work?
I think don't beat yourself up. I mean, I spent so much time sort of feeling bad and feeling guilty that I hadn't created all the content yet. And kind of one of the major mistakes that I made was I started marketing the course with the expectation that it was only going to take me a couple of weeks to get it finished. So that was kind of big learning point.
Talk more about that.
It was I was doing that. I'd created some preview content and I'd created some teasers, and I was building my email list leading towards this launch. And I was seeing people getting to the end of this preview sequence and I had nothing else to give them because the course wasn't ready. So I'd spent 2 or 3 weeks putting content together. I'd expected to have finished by then, but I'd only done like a quarter of the course. And I had all these people who had finished all the preview content. And I was like, what am I going to do? Because it's going to be another 5-6 weeks before I can actually give them the course. They're not going to be interested. So I basically just had to keep sending them something interesting every week to try and keep the momentum going.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was really tough. And I think the worst thing is getting down about it. If you realize you've hit a stumbling block like I did, you can beat yourself up and you can feel bad about it, but that's not going to get you anywhere. It's not going to be a productive way to go about fixing things. So you've got to give yourself permission to stumble now and again and just realize that anything is fixable. So I managed to take all those people who had reached the end of my preview content, I managed to get them excited about the launch again, and I managed to launch really strong. So it's not the end of the world. If you make mistakes, it's not going to be the end of the world. Just give yourself permission to make mistakes, I think. That was a big learning point for me.
That's fantastic advice, Nick. Thank you. Now, just to fill in a couple gaps before we move on, screencast videos, you were using ScreenFlow for Mac, or what were you using to do that?
Camtasia.
Okay. Are you on a PC or?
I'm on a Mac.
Oh, you're on a Mac. Camtasia is good for both, actually.
And I think they released a Mac version. And I can't remember why I picked Camtasia.
People ask me that all the time. Do you like ScreenFlow better or Camtasia for Mac? And I'm like, you know what? I interchange between both of them. They're both
Absolutely.
They're both great. And then in terms of you said you had a developer develop your course for you. Did they take an existing plugin, for example, and kind of tweak it to your needs, or was it from scratch?
So what we did was we took a WordPress theme, one of the Genesis themes, and he kind of installed Wishlist Member over the top of it. And then we sort of designed the front end look and feel in line with the branding that I wanted.
Very cool.
So, I mean, as far as he's concerned, I think it was a relatively straightforward job for him. But for me, it was something that I knew was going to take me. I mean, even if I could even do it, I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. But if I could have figured it out, it would have been, like 3 months worth of work. And we wouldn't be having this conversation right now because I'd still be messing around with all the back end. Yeah. And then we integrated Stripe to that as well and WooCommerce. Okay. So it was WordPress, Wishlist Member, Stripe, and WooCommerce together to create this membership site. And it's all very seamless.
Very cool. Thank you for that. Now, moving on, you said that after the creation, then you launched this. How many people did you have on that preview email list before you launched or as you were launching?
3,500, almost exactly, actually, when we launched it. So I'd been building that up since just before Christmas. So maybe three months of promotion, I think.
And how did you build that list?
That was several ways, really. One was through Amazon itself. So using free books and free promotions to drive traffic to a landing page, which is one of the things I teach authors to do in the course as well. But also doing a load of guest spots and podcasts and interviews. And like January, February was so busy. Like I had some kind of interview 2 or 3 times a week all the way through those months. And that made a massive difference. Just getting traffic through every day without having to do much.
Those were interviews on podcasts and blogs that had authors as an audience?
Absolutely. I mean, what I did was I reached out to several influencers in the author marketing space and said, I've got this reader magnets concept. I'd like to try it out on you. And, if it works for you, you can give me a testimonial, essentially. Mm-hmm. So I went out to 4 or 5 influencers and put this system into place for them, and they saw great results and they were so happy with it. They talked about it to their friends and put it on their websites, and that got me lots of podcast interviews. And
that's awesome.
It kind of spread like that. So it was taking the core thing that I teach people in the course and using it on influential people, and then they spread the word. So that was a great strategy.
That's really cool. That and that initial reach out to those influencers, which is, I think, a brilliant strategy everybody should be doing, especially when they're launching something. These were people that you already had a relationship with, or kind of just started from scratch? And if so, from scratch, kind of how did you warm them up to the idea of using what you were giving them?
It was a mix, really. A couple of them I sort of had a couple of interactions with maybe in the past, but we weren't like on speaking terms or anything. Mm-hmm. The ones I was approaching cold, I just went in with a pitch, really, a very quick concise pitch. That's, I would make sure I'd do some research, and if they had hinted that they were interested in building their audience and building their mailing list, which, let's face it, everybody does, then I'd just email them and say, hey, I've got this system that I use. It's called Reader Magnets. I've used it on this person, and this person. They got XYZ results. I'd like to put it in place for you as well, help you grow your audience. What do you think? And, 9 times out of 10, they'd go for it. And then, I wasn't even asking them for testimonials, but because they got such good results, they were more than happy to talk to people about it. So it was, the reciprocity was there, and it worked really well. So
I love that. That reminds me of when Derek Halpern from socialtriggers.com came into the scene in 2010, I believe. I had my blog up for a couple of years at that point. It's doing well, but then he came on. He wasn't the first one to start talking about, internet marketing and online business and stuff, but he came on and he provided value to other influencers by actually doing site reviews and telling these influencers, including myself, how they can improve their email list conversion rates. And there's a video on my blog. We'll post it in the show notes. It's a video of Derek telling me what I could do better on my website. And I put those things into action, saw massive results, and just talked so much about Derek ever since that point, because he helped me out so much. And now, I link to him on my resources page and all this other stuff. So yeah, the exact same thing. Again, it's because he actually provided me a ton of value, which is what you were doing to these other influencers. They're of course they're going to pay you back in some way, shape, or form, because you've just done a lot for them, and they're going to want to help you out too.
Absolutely. And Derek is the reason that I did this, because I knew that was a technique that he used to get attention. Awesome. So I knew that it worked for him, and he's built Social Triggers up into a multi-million-dollar business. And it all started from him using these techniques to get attention from people. So, a lot of thanks goes to Derek and Social Triggers as well for this approach to marketing. It works amazingly well.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you built this email list, 3,500 people. How do you launch to them? Did you do the 3 video series like David and Amy talk about?
I did. And this is where it kind of got a bit sticky. As I mentioned,
interesting.
Everyone had received their 3 videos.
Oh,
and it was like 6 weeks later, it was launch day. And I was like, well, I can't just launch it now, because there's been a 6-week gap between, a lot of these people getting their last video.
Oh, I didn't know the preview content you sent earlier was actually this video series.
Oh yeah. This was the big mistake. So I'm going to lay this out here now for everyone listening, is the way David and Amy teach it is get people to opt in for something small, like a cheat sheet or, something simple. And then when the course is ready, then send them the preview content. So I was getting them to opt in for the preview content straight away, which I thought, this is great. It's going to be fantastic. I can launch in a couple of weeks. Hadn't got any of the content ready. I was tearing my hair out, and then realized that actually a very simple solution is just to create more preview content. Mm-hmm. So I went out and I did another 2 videos, and I made these ones very short and sort of very authority and proof based. So the last video before the launch, before the cart opened, I actually recorded myself sending an email to my fans. And then I showed a screen of my book, and then I cut to the next day and refreshed the page, all on video, and showed everybody how I think 130 reviews came in overnight for this book, just from one email that I sent. So if I put that in a video, people will get really excited about it, and I can lead into the launch again.
That's awesome.
So that's exactly what I did. And so, from the big mistake of giving out the preview content too early came this great idea of creating this new video that just adds a load of social proof and a load of authority to the launch. And it made a big difference. So it got people really excited again. So we ended up with 4 videos, and then went into the cart open sequence. So I managed to make it work just about.
That's awesome. I really love that idea, actually. And then tell us what that cart open process was like. Like, was it opened and then like this huge rush of sale? Like, how did was it a limited sale in terms of like how many days it was open and then you close it up? Like, go through the whole sale process with us and what was going through your head as obviously sales started to come through at some point.
Yeah. So the advice is to, open the cart for a limited number of days. So in the course, David talked about different types of launches. And this was something that we probably call an internal launch, where we launched the course to people on our list.
Mm-hmm.
And the advice is to only launch for a certain number of days. So open the cart and then 5 days later or 10 days later, close it off. So people have a very defined window of time when they can actually buy this. Otherwise, they won't take action. They'll procrastinate. They'll think, I'll just buy it later. And then they never do. So you have to give them a reason to buy it now. And a great way of doing that is by saying it's only available for 5 days. So I decided to open the cart on a Sunday and then close it the following Saturday. The logic being that weekends people pay more attention to email. I don't know if that's true, but it seemed to make sense to me.
Okay.
So yeah, I opened the cart on a Sunday. I'm always going to remember this feeling, that shaking hands when you're pressing that send button, and your heart's pumping and you're really nervous, and you're kind of thinking, people are going to hate me because I'm trying to sell them something. They're going to come beat down my door, and it's going to be awful, and I'm going to get hate mail, and people will unsubscribe, and I'll get blacklisted. All these paranoia thoughts running through your head.
Right.
But within 7 minutes, I'd made a sale. And this is a $600 course that I was selling. And within 7 minutes of sending out the first email, someone had bought it, which obviously meant they hadn't watched the sales video or read the sales page, because it would take you much longer than 7 minutes to do that. So, that was amazing for me.
That's cool.
And sales just kept on coming. And the first day on Sunday, I think I managed to bring in something like $30,000. And that pace kind of kept up for the full 6 days. And, by the end of it, it was a little over $130,000, 220 odd customers. And everyone was getting stuck into the course. And, I was emailing them every day during the cart open, during those 5 days, emailing them every day, but giving them value as well. Not just sending sales emails, but giving them something of value in the email. So if you took the sales link away, it was still a valuable email. It was giving them a bit of preview content, some sneak peeks, some testimonials, and it was absolutely fantastic. It was a crazy week because I was doing it live. So I was sending out all of these emails live and responding to requests and questions live as well. So it was exhausting, but very rewarding, definitely.
And then in the email you sent to me on March 15th, there was a line that says, "I'm still a little in shock." Are you still in shock at this point? We're about a month after now.
I am. It still doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Why do you say that?
Well, I think, and a lot of listeners probably relate to this, is, you listen to podcasts and read interviews with all these people who have, done 6-figure launches or built up $1 million businesses. And you think, it's not something that I could do. It will never work for me. And that's how I thought as well. I thought, guys like you and Tim Ferriss and all these people making money doing what they love, you think it's like a fairy tale and that it couldn't possibly happen to you. And then it does, and you just can't quite believe it. But looking back, you think, actually, I followed a process that's proven, and I invested in myself, and I took action. Why shouldn't it work? It's just, I guess I'm proof that people can do this if they focus and put some time into it. So yeah, I'm still coming to terms with it, but it's been life-changing. It really has. I'm
so happy you came on to share this. I think this is going to be life-changing for a lot of people as well. And so what's next? So you closed up the cart, and what are you doing now? Like, what are you doing with the students? And then what are you doing in terms of this course for the next launch?
So I'm just making sure everyone's getting 500% value out of the course, making sure they can follow all the action steps, get results. Because I care about them getting results. I want them to succeed. That's why I'm doing this. So making sure that is happening is the number one priority. And then going forward, we'll relaunch again, maybe bring in some joint venture partners as well. And then eventually go evergreen, which is a whole other bunch of technological problems as well. But it's very exciting indeed. That's so cool. Nick, man, you just provided so much value here in this episode. Not only that, but inspiration too for a lot of people, including myself, because I don't have a course yet too. And I am working on one as we speak right now, which is really exciting. And so this has been very helpful for me as well too. Where can people find out more about you? Where is this course that people can go to, even if it's closed? Like, where can they find out more about what this is and what it's about? Well, you can find me at yourfirst10kreaders.com. If you sign up there, you'll get all the preview content. So if you're an author and you're looking to build up your audience, fiction or nonfiction, any genre, you can go to yourfirst10kreaders.com. There's 90 minutes of free video content available there. That's still available. That's not closed off. And if you want to get more updates and behind the scenes stuff, that's the link to use. And I'll make sure that you get that through your email. So that's definitely the best place to find me.
That's awesome. So your first 10K readers, the only numbers are the 10 and the 10K, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you, Nick. We appreciate it. We wish you all the best of luck. And maybe we'll have to get you on a follow-up episode, after a few more launches to see how things go.
Absolutely. I'd love to. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Nick Stevenson, again, from yourfirst10kreaders.com. A super inspiring, just incredible success story that is not too far-fetched nowadays, especially with all the information that's out there. David's talking a lot about coursework. You can grab his course if you'd like, but he shares a lot of information that Nick put into use at smartpassiveincome.com/session136. That was the episode with David that Nick had listened to first. So go ahead and head on over there if you want to get sort of the first-hand look at what Nick was listening to when he took action. Also, you can find all the links and resources mentioned in this particular episode if you go to smartpassiveincome.com/session162. I'm also very happy to thank our sponsors for this episode. First off, the Art of Charm podcast at theartofcharm.com, a podcast that I listen to, and you've actually heard Jordan Harbinger, the host of the Art of Charm podcast, here on episode 121 before. And I actually asked him, after a little bit of talking about how we sort of switch back and forth between the top rankings in the business section, about how he finds his great guests for his show.
Actually, I switched out of the management and marketing category specifically because I thought, okay, if you and I are going to duke it out for number one, I can jump into careers and be next to startup. And then you and I don't have to have this uncomfortable battle going on. It's like the airplane armrest where you're shoving my arm off and then you go to the bathroom and my arm's back on. We don't have to do that anymore. But for me, the way I find the guests, honestly, is at the end of every show, I say, hey, if you have a suggestion for a guest, send it to me. I'm Jordan at theartofcharm.com, and I'm very open in that way. And every day I probably get 5 guest suggestions, and I start to spot patterns where I'll get the same guest suggestion 14 times in 1 month or 2 months, and I go, okay, this is a guy that everybody wants to hear from. Now, that said, it's not a popularity contest because some people will say, there's this guy, he's my uncle, he hasn't done much of anything, but he's got this awesome story. And I will interview that guy, and that episode can take off like wildfire because no one's heard him anywhere. It's fascinating, it's raw, and it's real. And so I don't just look for the latest digital blogger or author on a book tour. I look for stuff that piques my interest, and that's what drives the brand, and that's what drives the content of the show.
So check it out, the Art of Charm podcast on iTunes. Just look up the Art of Charm or go to theartofcharm.com. I hope you've been enjoying the free podcast content here. I'm really excited because it's one of my favorite things to do, and I know a lot of you have already taken action from the content that you've listened to on the podcast. And if that's you, congratulations. Just keep going, please. It's one of my favorite things to see. But I also know a lot of you, and a lot of you have been telling me that you've been wanting more. You've been wanting additional information, some accountability, some hand-holding along the way. And so depending on what it is that you're looking for, what I would recommend is actually go to smartpassiveincome.com/courses. You'll see the courses that I'm offering there that are paid courses, but they're there to help walk you through certain processes. Depending on what problem you have or what issue or what thing you're trying to solve, go there, check it out. You can see if there's a course available for you and where you're at in your business right now, whether you're just getting started and you just want to make sure you have all the right things in place before you actually devote a lot of time and effort into something. There's a course for you there. For those of you looking to get started with a podcast, there's stuff for you there. And there's going to be more courses there in the future. And how do I come up with those ideas for the courses? They come directly from you. So thank you for all telling me how I can help you better. And if you have ideas for more courses that I can create for you, just hit me up on Twitter at Pat Flynn. Let me know, or use my contact page on smartpassiveincome.com. But again, check out and see what's available. smartpassiveincome.com/courses. That will be continually added to over time. So check it out. Thanks so much. Thank you again for taking time out of your day to listen to me and this episode of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. I look forward to serving you next week. And until then, keep crushing it, keep moving forward, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
Hey there, quick pause here because I have to tell you about a tool that completely transforms the podcasting workflow, Riverside. I get it. I used to juggle multiple platforms just to record one podcast episode. It was exhausting. Zoom for recording, Audacity for editing, and then a bunch of different apps just to create clips and social posts. I've tried other ones as well. They were okay, but they were clunky and super time-consuming. That's where Riverside has massively helped. I can do it all in one place, recording, editing, repurposing, one platform, one streamlined flow. I just log in, record with my guests no matter where they are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video all in one. And get this, even if your Wi-Fi glitches, Riverside records locally on your device so everything sounds and looks crystal clear. But here's my favorite feature, Riverside's AI editing tool. You can remove silences and filler words with just one click, hours saved. With Magic Clips, Riverside also automatically finds the best moments and turns them into ready-to-post videos for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, all without the extra editing. So if you're looking to level up your production quality and simplify your workflow, go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART. It's built by creators for creators, and I think you're going to love it. I get it. You want to grow your business, but selling at scale feels overwhelming. You're drowning in complicated funnels, creating different lead magnets, or constantly posting on social media. And that gets exhausting fast, especially when you're trying to sell to hundreds or thousands of people. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? A score app quiz or assessment asks your audience key questions and gives them instant personalized results based on their answers. Your audience gets to know where they are now and shows them the steps they need to hit their goals. You can set up a quiz in minutes using Score App's templates and have a powerful lead magnet that'll do the selling for you. The best part is your audience actually wants to take this quiz, and you build huge amounts of trust before you even make a single offer. No hard sales, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. Just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI.